All right, so with your laminate, one thing I found that's really helpful to do, especially for your elevons, to make sure that they're straight. I seem to have the best luck when I do it this way, is when this stuff gets shipped to you, it's not really in a roll. It's all folded up, and I'm sure that's to kind of minimize the workspace it takes to lay this out and get it all packed up. But what I like to do is go ahead and take the time to roll this bad boy up. So I'm going to get it going. If one side starts to poke out, I'll tap it in, make it behave. And yes, I do it for the whole roll. It just makes life a lot easier from here on out with this laminate. And honestly, can even give you a better build than if you hadn't done it. And you end up with a warped elevon, which is a little harder to do on these smaller models, but on the bigger ones, like the Reaper, Bullseye, it can be a little more prevalent. All right, so I've got this prepped. Now I can lay it down on my table, put my straight edge on it, and can just start taping up here. These small ones, see, this is the perfect size just to go right up here and really have very little waste. So let's get our iron hot. Weights for my straight edge up here, nice and weighted down. These mats will melt, so be sure to keep your iron away from, not melt, but bow. They will bow when they get hot. I've got a couple bows in mine. This is actually an old snowboarding iron for waxing your skis or snowboard. My hobby iron broke right at the neck. It's like a weak spot in those Hanger 9 covering irons that it looks like they've fixed in the new digital model. But anyway, I'm setting my temperature just a little. So we're going to get all nice and lined up here. This cut that they did from the factory wasn't perfectly level on the top, not a problem. I'm going to start by hitting the middle, and I'm really going to take my time on this first layer to kind of, yeah. And I'm pulling from the loose end. There we go. And I'm going to hit the edge and keep going. And you're going to want to put at least 3 layers on this. So going around 3 times. This would be round number 1 here. Notice I'm pulling away. This is where having that laminate nice and flat and laid out with a counterweight really helps you to get this laminate on here with a minimal amount of wrinkles. I'm not going to say wrinkle free. That should be pretty good. Also to keep things nice and taut. And we're almost done with one. Since I'm making this a little more higher performance, and what I'm actually doing here is one, strengthening this foam, but every layer that I put on it, this thing gets a little bit stiffer, right? So for this one being a faster plane, I'm going to throw 4 layers on it. And you'll help me count. I believe I'm on number 2 right now. Always lose count. And then I have to go over to the ends and count how many rolls I've got over here. Still on 2. Starting 3. Notice how I started in the middle of the elevon and I'm working my way out, always pulling from where I just came from. I think this is 3 right here. So only one, ouch, one more to go. Look how easy that is. Looks like I got some dirt on my iron. Got a few character spots building. All right, almost finished with the last one. Again, the reason I'm doing 4 instead of 3 is just to add a little bit more stiffness, just that much more. That gives me a nice snappy response, especially if I'm using nice servos. All right, so that's our 4th one. Got very little waste here. And if you use this laminate right, you'll have a little bit more than enough to get the job done. And then you can keep that extra scrap laminate for repairs, which hopefully you'll need, because if you're not doing repairs, you are not using this thing to its full potential. All right, got to just trim the ends here. So I'm going to make a bit of a triangle, getting fatter to where the surface is fatter. Yeah. Yep. Exacto. Everywhere that there is a corner or a bend, I'm going to put a relief cut. Even on the back here. And then I'm going to trim this stuff so that it folds in here even. Making sure nothing's too big. All right. Take my iron. I like to start with the small pieces first. Wrap the big pieces over them. And if I had to pick, I would do the top last. And I don't know why. I guess my reasoning there is water. So that's the top piece, bam. She's on there. All right, other side. Same thing. All right, one down. And as with anything, on an airplane usually. Rinse and repeat for the other side. But look how stiff, whoop, how stiff that is. I got a bubble right here. Pop it and iron it out. All right, so on to the next side. All right, so got both of my elevons done. Got my left and my right ready to roll. Now I'm going to laminate the wing. I am basically going to do the top first. Logic there being that when I do the bottom, it'll fold up over the top and I'll have less seams on the bottom where it tends to get wetter in the dew. Where I'm actually going to overlap the laminate in the middle of the plane, making the middle of the plane a little bit stiffer where I have 2 layers of laminate. So I'm going to take this piece, lining up along the back edge will help me minimize waste. Now I'm going to cut away the roll. So I can just work with this. I want to make sure I don't have any trash or anything on here that I want to get off before I do this step. I think that's going to do it. So we're going to start with one stroke down the middle here. And then we're going to work out from that stroke. I like to start in the middle where that V is. Keep in mind if you've got any packing tape or anything, you can go over the packing tape with the laminate, but you don't want to put the iron directly onto the packing tape, or a lot of times it'll just like burn the ink right off of it, it seems like. So working from the middle and away from our first stroke there. All right, so we've got the bottom half done. And let's get the top going. I'm going to start in the middle here. Don't get over anxious with this and try to curl it all the way around the front. If you can just get a little at a time that doesn't have any wrinkles in it, you are moving in the right direction. At this point, I am actually going to remove the excess, and I do not need a ton of overlap on here. In fact, if I keep it fairly close, I'll probably be able to use this piece again. For the other side. Set that aside for right now. And I'm going to go ahead and make a relief cut here at the nose. Just straight with the line of the plane there. And then might go ahead and trim up a little bit of V in the front there. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get this smaller piece down. Lay down. All right. You'll see me straightening this out a little bit. Don't pull too hard when you do this, or you'll end up warping the wing. So really, that was something bad to show you. But if you're going to do it, don't do it too hard. Really, just letting the iron pull things taut is your best bet. Being very careful around this packing tape. Yeah. All right. Now the end here is a whole lot like when we got to the end of our elevons. So I'm going to cut with the wider portion being where the wing gets wider. And then anywhere that I've got a corner or a curve, I'm going to make a relief cut. So I'm going to put one right at the leading edge of the wing out. And then where it's curving a lot, I might put multiple. Where it's curving a little, I might give it a little more space. Back here, I'm going to cut straight from the middle of the plane out. Those will go down there, nice. So yeah, we'll just start with the back here. Right over top of those lights. Oop. Just kind of curling in on itself there a little bit. Yep. And here, got a little this, a little that, this, a little that. And then shingling from the back forward, always like to do that. Voila. Next side. So if I grab my recycled piece here, it should cover it, and it does. So that's going to be a good use of that piece. I even use that on the bottom. I've got so much overlap here. So again, right down the middle, I got some adhesive on my iron. See that black spot right there? Good news is that will come out. What I'll do is, after I'm finished making all those black marks on there, that's probably not going to be the last one. And I'm looking at how good the plane looks. I will take a wet paper towel with a little bit of Comet and some elbow grease, rub that right off, then use a clean wet paper towel to get the Comet residue off of there. Works pretty well. Where's the old razor? I tell you. Okay, cats. Seriously? I know I had it when I was doing laminate. Well, I guess you can always grab another. Okay. I would love to see somebody make a cordless covering iron. I understand it might be kind of bulky in the hand, but I'd be willing to try it just to not have to sling a cord around everywhere. For real. I bet the bottom of this plane is where I picked up some of that adhesive. You know, while I'm talking about adhesive, it goes to mention when you're putting that spray adhesive down for your extreme tape or for your decals, don't go overboard with it and spray it everywhere because it can actually get real sticky, and when you're doing this part of the process where you're trying to laminate, it can grab the laminate and really give you a fit with wrinkles. Been there, done that. But I do recommend it. It holds the extreme tape better and allows you to put your decals under the bottom. Whatever glue you use, if you decide to put down some kind of adhesive and do your decals this way and your laminate this way, make sure it's had time to dry before you go sealing it up with laminate, or it may never dry. It'll just think it's still in a bottle. All right, top's done. Time for the bottom. Grab my nice roll that I can just roll out so easily now. And I'm essentially going to do the same thing that I did for the top. Only difference is I'm going to allow for a little bit more overlap this time to really kind of get on top and seal things up. Right down those lights, pushing down on them. Bam. You know, while I'm doing this boring stuff and talking to myself, I guess I'll mention how forward I am looking to gnaw in the fall this coming October 4th to the 11th, I believe, 2024 at Triple Tree Aerodrome. Their website is tta.aero, A-E-R-O. If you've never been to Triple Tree, you got to make it. If you're intimidated by large crowds, I get it. Try the fall event that I'm going to head to in October. It's definitely a little more chill, less lines if you're looking to fly, but still a great place to go. And spend a lot of time with very like-minded individuals as yourself, if you are into this hobby like I am. It's really great. Always learn a lot every time I go. And of course, I conveniently live in South Carolina, so for me, I really don't have any excuse. This plane will likely be at that event and will likely be for sale. See, I'm okay with just gaining a little bit as I get around this leading edge here. Just gaining a little bit at a time. If I'm making progress and not getting wrinkles, I am doing it right. All right, so we're going to cut for just a little bit more overlap here. Don't want to go crazy, but that'll create problems too. Plenty. Save this for another one. Probably won't be quite enough to do the bottoms other side, but we'll check. Try to make as little waste as possible. Alright, so I've got one more wrinkles in there. Still hot, so I can pull it back. Still got it himself. I need to iron this in first. There we go. I'll stick right that down. You know, you get your wrinkles when you do it. It's not getting a little It's really, really, really. And if I may get one, it's going to be on the leading edges. And if I am able to pull that out so easily, I will let that stay there. It'll probably look better than if I try to fix it. After that one. All right, in there. Pretty hot in there. Is this going to be enough? I say yes. Look at this, I know. Oh, watch me. All right, lamination done. Next, we get to put these on.